The Arizona sun was sinking low, its fading light stretching across a cold December desert. They called her the cruel widow, a woman hardened by loss, living alone where even coyotes feared to linger. But that afternoon, as the wind turned sharp and the shadows grew long, a wounded mountain man and his little girl stumbled to her door, and fate gave her a chance to prove the stories wrong. Watch till the end to uncover the hardships she'll face and what the mountain man was running from, with his sick child in his arms. Tell us where you're watching from. Join our Sleep West family. Saddle up and let's begin.
The Arizona sun, usually a relentless hammer, had already begun its slow descent, but its light, though fading, still illuminated the vast, unforgiving desert. It was a bleak December afternoon in 1881, and a sharp, brittle cold was setting in, forcing Ima to pull the heavy wool shawl tighter around her shoulders. For 3 years she had lived alone in the harsh solitude of the cabin, surviving not just the elements but the scorn of those few scattered settlers who passed by. They called her the cruel widow, or sometimes just the rifle widow, because her face was a mask of cold cynicism and she trusted nothing but the Winchester she kept perpetually within arm's reach. Her husband Jacob had been murdered here in '78, his life taken by men who wanted what he refused to give up. Since then, Ima had allowed no one to get close. She was securing the shutters against the encroaching chill when a sudden movement caught her eye. A dark, still heap against the ochre sand not far from the rocky outcrop that sheltered her well. Ima's breath caught. Instinctively, she did not move. Instead, her weathered hand, strong and scarred from ranch work, drifted to the smooth, cold stock of the rifle leaning beside the door. Ima stepped onto the porch, the rifle already leveled. It wasn't a heap, it was two figures. A man, broad and tall, was kneeling, his large frame slumped in exhaustion, sheltering something small nestled against his chest. He looked like he was praying, or maybe just clinging to the last sliver of hope. Ima's heart, a hardened lump of scar tissue, began to beat a dull, aggressive rhythm. She approached slowly, the Winchester's safety snicking off with a sound as loud as a gunshot in the still air. "Hold right there!" Ima's voice was rough, unused to softness. "Stand up slow, hands where I can see him. Who are you, and what business brings you to my claim?" The man flinched, struggling to shift his weight. He was roughly 40, covered in dust and sweat, with clothes torn and stained by old blood. His beard was thick and tangled, and his eyes, when he finally lifted them, were the faded, intense blue of the desert sky. He was a mountain man, built like a granite slab, but his movements were clearly hampered by pain. He held up one hand, palm out, but kept the other clamped fiercely around the small figure on his lap. "Please, ma'am," the man rasped, his voice a dry whisper. "We mean no harm. We lost our horse 2 days back. She's my daughter, Lily. She's sick, ma'am, burning up." Ima's aim did not waver. "I don't care if you're the governor of the territory. You're treading on my land. Tell me your name, and why you're wounded." "Name's Bill, Wild Bill to some. The wounds are from trouble I carried, but that don't matter now. Look at her." Ima's Bill carefully shifted the blanket, revealing a girl of perhaps 9 years. Her face was frighteningly pale, her skin slick with sweat, and her breath came in shallow, rattling gasps. Lily. Ima's cold scrutiny finally broke. She had seen men bleed out in the desert before, but she had not seen a child in 3 years. The sight of the girl's distress, so fragile and helpless, clawed at the frozen core of the widow's heart. It was the only thing that could have pierced her carefully constructed wall of distrust. "Move," Ima ordered, her voice still sharp, but the threat had leached out of the sound. "Take the child and follow me. And don't think about anything foolish. I don't miss twice." Wild Bill didn't hesitate. He gathered Lily in his arms and struggled to his feet, wincing as weight hit his right leg. Ima led them to the cabin, her rifle still covering the man as he crossed the threshold. Inside, the cabin was Spartan but clean, the air heavy with the scent of pine and gunpowder. Ima pointed a curt finger toward the bed in the corner. "Lay her down. Get your filthy rags off, but keep your hands visible. I'll check the girl's fever." Bill followed the instruction without argument, placing Lily gently on the mattress before slumping onto a stool, clearly near collapse. Emma, her face impassive, quickly checked the girl's forehead. Hot, too hot. Emma found a small bitter-smelling root from her stores and started brewing a tea. "Your wounds?" she asked, not looking at him. "Just bad cuts, ma'am. Nothing poison. Got a bad knock on the thigh. Slows me down." Emma tore a strip of clean linen, poured water into a basin, and brought him a small chipped glass of whiskey, strictly medicinal. "Wash it yourself. Keep the blood off my floor." After a tense, silent hour, Emma had forced the mountain man to clean his cuts, and had done what little she could for Lily, wetting cloths and applying a poultice to bring the fever down. Emma did not have much. The last of her venison had been stewed that morning. She brought out the pot. "This is it," she announced, dividing the meager contents into 3 small bowls. She added a bit more broth to Lily's portion. "You eat slow, we're short on supply." As Lily weakly sipped the soup, a fragile calm settled over the room. The only sound was the crackle of the fire and the wind beating against the thick logs. On the second evening, Lily's fever finally broke. She was weak, but sleeping peacefully. Emma and Wild Bill sat by the small wooden table, the rifle resting between them like an unwanted guest. The silence had become less aggressive, replaced by a cautious, heavy curiosity. "I owe you everything, ma'am," Bill said softly, swirling the last cold dregs of his coffee. "You saved her life, saved mine too, likely." "Don't owe me nothing," Emma countered, inspecting the barrel of her rifle. "I needed a warm body to keep the rats out of the corner." It was a lie, and they both knew it. She had done it for the girl. "I need to tell you," Bill began, his blue eyes suddenly hardening with an ancient terrifying fury. "The men who did this, the men who jumped us, they were sent by Silas." Emma's hand clenched instantly on the rifle stock, her throat tightened, her breath suddenly shallow. Silas, the name was a hammer blow against her chest. Bill continued, oblivious to the widow's sudden profound shock. "He killed my wife, ma'am, burned my home to the ground, murdered the 3 men who worked my claim. He wanted my mine, my silver, my future. I saw him shoot her, Emma. I took Lily and ran for 3 days, saving her from them, or else they should took her." He finished in a low, broken growl. "I ran and saved her." Emma pushed her stool back, the scrape of wood startlingly loud. The mask of cold cynicism shattered, revealing the raw 3-year-old wound beneath. "Silas," she repeated, the name tasting like rust. "He took my husband's life. Jacob wouldn't sell him the water rights. Silas offered the money. Jacob refused, and 2 days later they came and broke his neck right where that hearth stands now." A tremor ran through her body. "He demanded something my husband didn't afford, and Jacob was left dead in the dirt." Wild Bill looked at her, his expression shifting from private grief to stunned recognition. "Emma," he breathed, leaning forward. "Then our enemies are the same. That snake is still out there, and he knows I took his men down. He is searching us, and can come any time here searching us." Emma's cold, hard-won self-control returned, but now it was layered with terrifying purpose. Her gut tightened, not with fear, but with a searing, long-awaited anticipation. "So be it," she said, meeting his fierce gaze with one just as ruthless. She hefted the Winchester. "If he comes, we'll be ready. I've been waiting for this time for 3 years, Bill." The confrontation came with the sunrise. The next morning the air was clear, clean, and biting, the desert stretching endlessly under a cloudless sky. Emma was outside, splitting kindling, Bill leaning against the porch rail, when a cloud of red dust rose on the horizon, moving fast. "That's not a prospector," Bill muttered, his body instantly tense. Emma straightened, dropping the axe. "That's Silas. He's efficient. I'll give him that." Didn't wait long. In minutes 4 mounted men and a single figure on a magnificent black horse. Silas pulled up outside the small fence surrounding the cabin. Silas was lean and elegantly cruel, dressed in expensive black broadcloth that looked utterly out of place in the desolate ranch. "Emma, you crooked lady," Silas bellowed, his voice echoing off the dry rock. "Send the man outside. I know he's holed up in your miserable shack. You're too late for revenge, widow, but you're just in time for a painful mistake." Ema and Wild Bill exchanged a look of absolute understanding and grim readiness. "Stay low," Ema ordered Bill, walking out into the yard, Winchester cocked and held loosely. "He killed my Jacob, Bill. He's mine. He killed my Eleanor," Bill countered, drawing the massive hunting knife he kept strapped to his back. "He's ours." Ema raised her rifle, sighting down the cold steel at Silas's sneering face. Her rage was pure, blinding fire, built up over 1,000 lonely nights. She squeezed the trigger. The bullet missed. It spat a plume of dust 6 inches from Silas's horse's ear, making the animal rear violently. Silas laughed, a high, grating sound that clawed at Ema's memory. "A little rusty, aren't we, widow? The years haven't improved your aim." He gestured sharply to his men. "Take them, and bring the mountain man to me alive." Ema fired again instantly, correcting her aim with the cold clarity of a woman fighting for her life. This time the bullet struck true, hitting Silas low in the right thigh. He let out a piercing scream, clutching his leg and tumbling off the horse. That was the signal. While the horsemen reined in their suddenly chaotic mounts, Wild Bill launched himself from the porch, knife already a glinting, deadly extension of his hand. He was no cowboy. He was pure frontier fury. He didn't use a gun. He moved like a dark animal, impossibly fast. The first horseman barely saw him. Bill drove the knife up into his gut, ripping free and shoving the dying man's body into the path of the second. The second man tumbled off his horse. Bill grabbed the third man's leg, yanking him from the saddle and landing on him, ending the fight with a swift, brutal slash across the throat. 3 horsemen were down in less than 10 seconds. Bill was immediately on Silas, grabbing the fallen man by the collar and dragging him away from his panicked horse. Ema stood, Winchester reloaded, covering the last 2 confused goons, who had stopped their assault, paralyzed by the shocking speed and savagery of the mountain man. Bill slammed the now screaming Silas onto the frozen ground, pinning him down with a heavy knee. He held the long, blood-slicked blade inches from Silas's throat. "You remember my wife, Eleanor?" Bill roared, his face twisted in a mask of years of grief. "This is for her." He drove the knife into Silas's shoulder, forcing another shriek of agony. "You remember my men, the ones who fought for their homes? This is for them." He twisted the blade, the sound sickeningly loud. Finally, Bill's voice dropped to a chilling, primal whisper, filled with a satisfaction so deep it was terrifying. "And this is for everything you took." He plunged the knife into Silas's chest, ending the tyrant's life with a final, broken gasp. Silas broke to death beneath the weight of the man he thought he had defeated. The remaining 2 horsemen, seeing their leader dead and 3 comrades swiftly dispatched, spurred their horses and fled, terrified shadows disappearing into the desert. That night, the cabin was still. Lily, sleeping soundly and protected by Ema's vigilance, was oblivious to the day's violence. Ema and Wild Bill sat by the fire, nursing their own minor cuts and watching the flames. The rifle was still close, but the tension had been replaced by a heavy, mutual exhaustion. "The sheriff will come eventually," Ema said, staring into the flickering light. "But that doesn't matter. We'll say it was self-defense," which it was. "He'll ask about the bodies," Bill said, wiping his knife meticulously clean. "The desert takes care of its own," Ema replied. "They won't find much." Bill sighed, running a massive hand over his beard. "Ema, this place is haunted now. By Silas, by your Jacob, by my Eleanor. You should take whatever money you have and leave. Have a fresh start. You've got what you wanted, your peace, your revenge." Ema shook her head, her gaze fixed on the fire. "No, this is the place I love. It's ugly, and it's hard, but it's mine. I claimed it. Silas dying here doesn't haunt it, Bill. It cleans it." She finally looked at him, her dark eyes clear for the first time in years. "You should leave. Take Lily. Head north, find that new place you were talking about." Bill looked down at his knife, then up at the woman who had sheltered him. "I will leave with Lily tomorrow. I need to get her to safety. I've fought the battle, and now my daughter needs to be raised in peace. She's seen too much blood and death." He paused, gathering his words, his huge frame radiating sudden vulnerability. "But I don't want to go alone, Ema, and I don't think you belong here alone anymore either. We spent 3 days trusting each other more than we trusted anyone in 3 years. We fought together, You're the only person who hasn't looked at me like a beast since my life broke. I told you this place is haunted by the dead, but maybe we stay, and we call it haunted by the living, instead. Emma felt a sensation she hadn't experienced since she was a girl, a rush of warmth and terrifying hope that broke through the cynicism she had cultivated. This man saw her strength, acknowledged her pain, and didn't try to save her, only to stand beside her. I won't leave the claim, Bill, Emma stated firmly. I won't give up what I fought for. I know you won't, Bill replied, his voice heavy with respect and regret. But you need peace too, Emma. A different kind of clean start. The way I see it, this land is a tomb to your past, and I can't ask Lily to sleep in a tomb. He stood, walking to the door. We leave tomorrow for Wyoming. You should come with us to a place where the air is truly clear. Before Emma could respond, the curtain covering Lily's makeshift sleeping area twitched. Lily stood there, her small face drawn and tear-stained. She ran to Bill, clinging to his leg, and then looked up at Emma, her eyes wide with fear. Don't go, Mama Emma, Lily pleaded, using the nickname she had picked up. Don't make Papa leave you behind. Please stay here. Bill gently knelt, stroking Lily's hair. We have to go find the quiet, sweetheart. We have to go somewhere where you only dream of grass and sky. He looked at Emma, a silent plea in his eyes. Emma looked at the child's distress, at Bill's honest determination to protect his daughter's soul, and the final wall around her heart crumbled. She had held on to this claim for 3 years as an act of defiance and grief. Now, holding on to it meant losing the only family she had found since Jacob died. I fought for this claim, Emma whispered, her voice rough with surrender. I fought for the dirt. Bill rose, walking to her side, his presence a comforting shield. You fought for your life, Emma, and you won. We don't need the dirt anymore. We need each other. He touched her cheek. Come to Wyoming with us. Trust me to find us a home that will heal the scars. Trust me to protect you both. Emma took a deep breath, the fight finally leaving her body. The love she had for Lily, and the deep, abiding respect she had for Bill's selfless character, was stronger than the stubborn hold of the desert. Wyoming, then, Emma said, a genuine smile finally blooming on her face. She reached up to touch his thick, matted beard. Well, mountain man, if we are going to Wyoming, we better make sure we have enough supplies for 3 mouths, because Lily will want that soup again. They didn't leave the next morning, not for Wyoming, but for the hard work of selling the claim and preparing for the journey north. They started small, a partnership built on mutual grit and respect, forging a future together. Emma finally relinquished the rifle as her only source of protection, placing her trust in the man who valued his daughter's peace above his own claim to vengeance. The cruel widow was gone. In her place was a strong woman who had finally found someone worth fighting for, a new family, not just against the ghosts of the past.